All right, we're ready to roll. Yeah, we're gonna be playing Ritual Chaos today. I just decided to load up Alafia 2's build just because I was too lazy to build it myself. I mean, I have played this deck myself, of course. This build looks fine though, right? I mean, I know I'm supposed to like sit here and talk about the list for a few minutes, but yeah, I mean, everything looks fine. You can't really point at a card here and be like, "Oh, that card's bad. You shouldn't play that." Either the side looks fine, right? I mean, all these side cards are like pretty standard. Um, I'll be honest. I mean, people probably want me to talk about like Relinquished versus Zork a little. I think it's like Relinquished is probably better most of the time, but man, like the times where like Zork is good, it's like really good, you know. But you could play either one. I don't know. I felt like when I played Relinquished over Zork, I felt like I just ran into Gravekeeper Spy problems a lot. That was like probably my biggest annoyance playing like the more like standard builds people play. Is like here, like how do we just get over a Gravekeeper Spy? Like, okay, a tribe. Try to like drop a Sork. That's about it. I mean, I guess like part of the reason I imagine that we're playing spies ourselves is so that like if our opponent cross-outs our spy, then they have to get rid of their own spies too. I think that's fine. But it's like, when I play this deck in like the standard Chaos, I mean, it's not a mirror match, but it's kind of like a mirror match. You know, when I'm playing against Chaos Turbo or whatever, I normally want to be going on the beatdown with like Manju and Senju. That's like kind of, I think, our main game plan is just to, you know, just summon 1,400 monsters and attack. But, like, if we just run into a spy, then it's like, well, now what? You know? So, I mean, we'll see if it plays out that way, right? We'll see if it plays out that way. But this deck looks fine. I mean, one Dust Shoot's a little weird, if I'm being totally honest. But, like, I don't know, one Dust Shoot's better than 0 Dust Shoots. I think this card destruction could also just be, like, a third Raigeki break. I don't know. I feel like we want to be using these, like, Raigeki breaks to kill like face down spy, face down faith, whatever it might be. But yeah, I guess we'll try it. Don't know how many viewers we got right now, but yeah, if you want to like, I don't know, if you got to get me all riled up and talk about like the whole, you know, Konami time travel, time wizard situation or whatever, go ahead. Or if you just want to say hi, that's fine too. But let's give this a shot, I suppose. Yeah, we'll give this a shot. Oh, I'm supposed to plug in my headphones. I feel like last time on stream we lost like every RPS. It's fine. Oh, and I also want to mention, it's like, so our last stream was Edison format. And then I felt like it went okay. And I held a poll like, oh, should I do more Edison? But then it's like, what happened with regards to that? Wow, that's like a lot of... Okay, that's 5 back rows. That's 5 back rows, guys. But anyways, it's weird. Like, in the poll, it seems like people are saying, yeah, we want more Edison. But my Edison format stream was my worst performing stream ever in terms of views. So it's like, if everyone wants Edison, why did no one watch the stream? I don't know, it's... I mean, I have some conspiracy theories there about what might be the cause of that. Do we want to just, like, Raigeki break and kill this guy? I mean, we probably do, right? Like, we're never gonna use this Dust Shoot realistically. Okay, this guy is just insane. Like, he really wants to keep his Abyss Soldier. Yeah, our hand is not very good. I mean, this can happen sometimes. The thing is like, Our opponent opened aggro, which kind of puts us under maximum pressure to, like, actually find something useful. Like, his Solemn Judgment Gambit is, like, very risky, you know? I just want to play around Dust Shoot, so I'm just going to set this card to... I know this seems like a weird play. Okay, this is fine. Top decking Sinister is, like, so ridiculously lucky here. It's like he wastes his Solemn Judgment to protect an 1800 vanilla, and then just, like, immediately gets rewarded for it. I hate that we have to do this. If we top deck Sork, we're in a really great spot, though. So realize, by the way, like, the whole reason that Konami is doing this whole, like, time travel thing, just because Waffle, like, brought it up, it's the fact that in Master Duel, they can't, like, implement, like, an entirely different rule set. Right? I mean, obviously, like, they could, but it would take, like, a lot of work, so they're not going to, right? I'm not saying it's literally impossible for them to implement a whole nother rule set, but they're not just going to, like, spend, like, a bunch more money to do that. I don't know, maybe we should have gone for game. But I won't, because I'm a pussy. But yeah, like, that's by the way, like, one of the main reasons that they're not just gonna be like, oh no, we'll just, when you play Edison, we'll just let you play under the Edison rules, because... Oh, and then he's gonna heavy? Oh no. Why did he just not add his Sinister? What is going on? I am, like, so confused. But yeah, it's like... So here's the thing. After, like, my last video and some of the feedback I got, I actually, like, yesterday, I went through some of Konami's, like, financial statements and comments that they've made in conference calls, and they never mention the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG at all as something that makes them money. However, they talk about Duel Links and Master Duel a lot. Like, they're constantly bragging about how much money those games make. And obviously, like, we just know, like, common sense-wise, it is much easier to, like, make a profit on a digital CCG than a paper CCG, right? Just because of, like, how things work, right? There's a reason that in the 21st century, everything is electronic now. It's because it's just cheaper, it's easier, etc. So basically, like, based on what I've read from Konami, and I consider just making, like, a follow-up video to this, but I'm just too lazy, so you just gotta watch stream if you want to hear it. But basically, the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG is a very low-margin IP whose entire intent is to be a gateway to get you to play Master Duel and Duel Links, because that's actually where they make their money. Right? So the reason that they want everyone to be doing time travel and not Time Wizard is because that's what's on Master Duel. And that's where they make all their money. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's like the only reason. I'm just saying it's like a key factor. Right? Like, the executives in shareholder meetings, they never talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Right? They don't even want to mention it. And realize, too, it's like 20 years ago, Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster packs had an MSRP of $4. Today, they still have an MSRP of $4. So their margins today are probably a lot lower than they were 20 years ago, because they've kept prices the same, but obviously inflation over 20 years hasn't been zero. So even it's like, it's kind of like, think of it this way. Like, if you're familiar with like how the economics of how a gas station works, they're basically making like a 1% profit margin on gasoline at a gas station. They're just hoping that you're going to come inside the convenience store to buy like a hot dog or to buy like a soda or whatever. And that's like where their profit actually comes from. And with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like basically the same thing. Obviously, most people who go to a gas station just come there to buy gas. And in the same way, like, most people who play Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole are mainly playing like the paper game, but they're hoping that they can reel you in with their low margin item to get you to buy the high margin item. So that's basically what I inferred, because Konami is a publicly tradable company. So like you can read like all about like where their money like actually comes from, because they're legally required to disclose it. And like Konami's digital entertainment sector, people find this fascinating, because like I hear people say like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying or something. Konami Digital Entertainment, the sector of the company that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a part of, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Is part of Konami Digital Entertainment. Konami Digital Entertainment's revenue has doubled in the last 5 years, and they attribute basically all of that to Master Duel and Duel Links. And like some of their other properties too, right? Because digital entertainment, it includes some other IPs. But in their shareholder meetings, they're constantly bragging about like Duel Links and Master Duel. Man, lost RPS again. Oh, this is a good hand. We got MST and Crossout and Reaper going second. Those are all good cards. And now our opponent will probably set like 3 back rows and make me hate myself. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. Spy. Darn. How many Faith do I run again? I'm pretty sure I just want Run Faith, right? Yeah, we just play 1. Uh, 25-7, if you're asking me, like, am I going to play your deck on stream, the answer is no, I'm going to play this deck on stream. I hope our opponent plays a Heavy Storm here. That'd be really nice. Alright, sweet. I mean, the only downside is, like, our opponent's Dust Shoot's live, but if he had Dust Shoot, he would have just played it last turn. He could have top decked the Dust Shoot this turn, but... He has 2 darks, no light. Oh, and we got rid of his Sork. That's a pretty nice Reaper hit, if I'm being totally honest here. We could really use some sort of light in our grave. I mean, like, Thunder Dragon would just be an amazing top deck. I guess I'll keep Torrential in my hand, just because, like, I might want to discard it to card destruction. And I don't see how, like, setting Torrential is going to do anything. Unless our opponent has, like, a very specific combination of cards, like he goes discard Thunder Dragon, drop a second Chaos Sork, then I guess I'd want a Torrential. But, like, other than that one specific thing... Faith is gone, which is nice. Like, we don't have to worry about Faith. I mean, I guess we'll Dust Shoot. This could be like a set to Kochi and we're, like, missing out on a card. Oh, he actually has another Sork. I think Spirit Reaper is pretty good, actually. I'm not sure if I like Spirit Reaper in this deck, but I think it's good in just, like, a regular Chaos deck. Yeah, well, this card destruction isn't doing shit. But yeah, what I don't understand is why, like, every single Chaos deck plays 2 Night Assailants. I mean, I guess I understand it, but I don't agree with it. Like, Night Assailant isn't that great in the average Chaos deck. Like, obviously it's great when you just open Graceful Night Assailant plus another flip, like our opponent did. But in general, it's like, not that amazing. He should go for the 4... Yeah, he should go for the full 4,000 here. Oh, okay, he's... This play is not legal. I'm actually helping my opponent by just convincing him to put everything in attack mode. Now he just probably thinks I have Mirror Force even more, because I just told him that... I told him that is... What is this guy doing? He's like, let me check log. Does this guy have a memory of a goldfish? How does he not realize that he just summoned Tribe this turn? Someone... He's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I played these monsters this turn or not. Let me check the log. Alright, yeah, I guess he's right. He didn't flip to Kochi this turn. Because he flipped to Kochi and he had... Yeah, he went to Kochi Duo Pass. And then he top decked Tribe this turn. So yeah, he top decked a Duo off the Dekochi and then a Tribe off the top a turn later. Jesus Christ. Yeah, who is it 5 a.m. for? I guess it's 5 a.m. for people in the UK. I just want a Thunder Dragon. Okay, I finally got what I want. Yeah, now our opponent's confused because, you know, he thought I had Mirror Force set. And we know his hands. He has Mirror... Or sorry, he has Mirror Force Crossout in his hands. I don't know. I mean, I guess our plan is just say go, hope our opponent... Oh, no, I should have put the Sork in defense, because now he can just ram Sangan into it. I'm being stupid here. This could get me massively punished. I might have just thrown the game. I was thinking putting it in attack just in case our opponent runs, like, a Ninja Grandmaster for some reason. But then I forgot, oh wait, our opponent just has a Sangan in play. I mean, I guess he could just get what? Like, probably just a Night Assailant, right? Assuming he runs a second copy. Oh, or just Tsukiyomi. Oh, and then he can Tsukiyomi the Sork? What? He didn't summon. Why wouldn't he just Tsukiyomi the Sork and cross it out? And now he just gets, like, no value out of his Tsukiyomi? Well, I mean, he will if we summon Relinquished, but... like, he doesn't have anything to flip down. So yeah, his hand is... Mirror Force, Crossout, Tsukiyomi, and a card that we don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna snatch and start attacking. Like, we could Relinquish, but it's gonna take, like, a lot of cards to play Relinquished. Alright, I guess now we're playing Relinquished, though. Or maybe we're not. Oh, I hate this. Because if we go Relinquished, we're literally just, like, throwing away 3 cards just to get our guy hit by Tsukiyomi. And our guy isn't Thousand-Eyes or Strict, so it's like, even if we Raigeki break the Tsukiyomi... I mean, I guess we have to just set Raigeki Break, but I hate it, though. Because it's like, what's our plan other than hope our opponent, like, just never draws another monster the whole game? That's basically our game plan. Just hope monsters don't exist. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're probably going to lose, especially since our life is... relatively low. I hate this so much, too, because now it's like we're putting the light in our opponent's grave for a Chaos Monster, which, I mean, I hate it. This is such a joke. Look at our draws. Well, the problem is that, like, we're literally just using 3 cards to kill a DD Warrior Lady. Right? Like, okay, we summon Relinquished, take Warrior Lady, attack for 15, and then our Relinquished just dies. Right? Like... Why did he just get 1 Thunder Dragon? Alright, now I feel like our opponent's, like, disrespecting us here. And we know that our opponent still has Mirror Force. I mean, we're just losing no matter what, I think, but we have to try. Yeah. Yep. Now we go to 200. At least the crossout's gone, though. So, like, if we top deck a Spy, we're probably back in the game. I mean, you can never make any guarantees in this life. Alright, well, there's scoops. Nothing we can do. Yeah, we Raigeki break the Sook, and then what? You understand that, like, Relinquished isn't Thousand Eyes Restrict. If your Relinquished has no materials on it, your opponent can just attack over it and kill it. So we would literally waste 5 cards, right? Because we would use every card in our entire hand. We would use Black Illusion Ritual, Relinquished, the material, a Raigeki break, and the discard. We'd be using 5 cards to deal with our opponent's DD Warrior Lady. And then what? What's our plan exactly? Okay, we used 5 cards to get rid of our opponent's Warrior Lady. And then what? Just hope our opponent bricks for 10 turns in a row? Like, that's not a plan. This is a really good opening. Because we got Dust Shoot, and we get to play around our opponent's Dust Shoot. Which is, like, really sick. Hey, Spuddy. I'm doing pretty fine. Why is our opponent not revealing his hand? Okay. Man, he has Pot of Greed. And he has Sanguine. He has Crossout, Sanguine, and Pot of Greed. I guess I'll send back Sanguine. Just because I don't want to get beat down by a Sanguine for like 12 turns in a row. I mean, 25s, I probably will. I mean, I hope I'm not, like, literally a grandpa in the sense that, like... I won't get into that. But yes, I will probably be a grumpy old man that doesn't give a shit. By the way, here, it's correct for him to cross out before using Pot of Greed. And the reason why... I mean, I guess he sided his spies out, so never mind. But the reason why... well, forget it. Okay. Okay, so let's HR. This does make his Dust Shoot live, unfortunately. Kill what I hope is the Mirror Force. Alright, sick. It is the Mirror Force. So this is like an even-ish game. Yeah, I'm just gonna kill this, I guess. I swear, I'm gonna be so mad if I top deck the second Relinquished. I will be fairly upset. So he's got a Sork and 2 cards we don't know about. Wow, this guy is just... he's just going all in on... yeah, I just really want... why is he playing Premature Burial in his deck? That's what I want to know. But it's fine. It's fine. We're just going to kill it, and then we're going to summon this... yeah, we're just going to kill it with Heavy, and then summon a Senju, and then start attacking. And this is a little annoying because we are, like, kind of making top deck Dust Shoots live, but, like, I don't really care. Like, if he wants to Dust Shoot and send back our Relinquished, like, go ahead. But, yeah, I'd say... like, we're slightly ahead in this game now. Because... we've thinned out our deck a lot. Like, our deck has 6 fewer cards in it than our opponents. And we've got like a monster on board that does things. Premature Demok doesn't really up the ceiling that much at all. Like, okay, if you just have, I don't know, you know, oh, I have graceful discarding Demok and then I'll premature my Demok and get back graceful. Like, okay, if you do that, then sure, but like, that's not even happening in like 1% of games. So at this point, our opponent just has a Sork in hand and 2 back rows that we don't know what they are. And that's it, right? I said Dust Shoot here just hoping to bait out like an MST or something. I think we should drop BLS. I think we should do it. I mean, we could definitely get punished for it. I'm not saying it's impossible to get punished. But, you know, this is going, you know, the risk reward is good. Because of this. Exactly, because of this. Because we don't want him to have a light in his grave for Chaos Sorcerer. That is exactly why we dropped BLS here. I mean, again, we can get punished. We can get punished by, like, Snatch Steal, but our opponent's deck contains more Magician of Faiths than Snatch Steals, so that was the reasoning there. And, like, the Snatch Steal isn't set. No one would just set Snatch Steal, so it's like he'd have to top deck Snatch Steal out of 30 cards. Okay, that's fine. Okay, great. Mind Control, BLS, banish itself. I don't care. And also, Mind Control, by the way, that's the reason because if you were paying attention, I was thinking about siding out Spirit Reaper. But then I thought about it some more, and I was like, well, setting Spirit Reaper could be like a decent way to bait Mind Control. So that's why I kept Spirit Reaper in my deck. Thanks, 25-7. We can definitely still lose this game. And this is, like, the other thing that frustrates me about playing this deck sometimes. Is, like, I feel like when you just have a Manju in play and you're beating your opponent down, like, the deck is kind of, like, doing its thing, like, it works well. But then, like, your Manju just gets attacked over, and then you're just kind of like, okay, well, what do I do now? And knowing our opponent, okay, no, he's actually playing conservative. I was gonna say, knowing our opponent, he'll just summon the Sork and just start attacking us. But in this case, he did not. And this duo, like, isn't doing jack shit. Because we don't even want a duo. We want a Dust Shoot. The ring is good though. The ring is good. We like ring. We like to see ring. Alright, well we're Dust Shooting. He just went straight from draw phase to battle phase. Oh, we don't care about Night Assailant. Did he shuffle his deck? I swear I don't think he shuffled his deck. Oh, he actually did shuffle his deck. Okay, at this point it's just like a knee-jerk reaction because none of my opponents ever shuffle their deck. I mean, we're obviously going to cross out. I'm just thinking whether, like... I'm thinking whether we want to duo or not. Because we know our opponent's hand is like 2 Thunder Dragons. I mean, if we duo, it makes his Graceful worse. He could also have a set Raigeki break, right? I mean, this set card's been forever. I feel like it's... To be honest, I don't know what this set card is. Like, it could literally be anything. I think I'm just going to duo him, though. Just because, like, if this is a set Raigeki break, we then force him to discard whatever his draw is if he wants to Raigeki break our Magician of Faith. I mean, going to 2,000 could definitely matter at some point. Yeah, I mean, it puts us in ring range, but there's not much for him to ring at this point. Right? Like, our main threat is Manju, which is 1,400. So, like, ring isn't going to stop that. I mean, if we, like, top deck a Chaos Sorcerer, he could be in an awkward spot. I mean, I guess if he just top decked a Sork now, we'd be dead because we duoed. I mean, we'll see. It's possible that, like, the duo makes us lose the game. I'm not saying it's not possible. Jesus Christ! He has Crossout set? Oh, that's very frustrating. It's like, yeah, he had a set Crossout, but he could have easily... He also could have very easily had, like, a set Raigeki break. I just don't understand why he slow-rolled me. Like, he has game, and he takes, like, 2 minutes to just flip cross out summon Sork attack for game. And he's playing Magical Merchant for some reason. I don't know what that's about. Luckily for me, Mirror Force is like a terrible card against my deck. But yeah, this is... We're off to a pretty decent start here. He also... I mean... In Game 2, he didn't have... he did not have... Gravekeeper Spy. So I don't know if that means he sided it out, or maybe he just doesn't main it. I'm just gonna keep up the pressure here. I'm just gonna kill the Tsukiyomi. Now, I would get Senju's effect here. The problem is that I ran out of targets. But yeah, if our opponent, like, just doesn't play Spy, this is going to be, like... It makes the matchup, like, a lot easier. Because Spy would just be the best monster he could have here. I mean, something like Spirit Reaper would also work, I guess. But, like, you know, something like the Kochi or Magician of Faith, like, we just don't care about those. We're like, yeah, buddy, you can set to Kochis all you want. I mean, obviously, like, Sork is good here, too. So now we're kind of in a... Well, Morrow Games, the one that I like the best is Zork, but I'm just playing Aletheia's build, which is playing Relinquished over Zork. I actually think that, like, I don't know. You could make the case for Zork or Relinquished. Like, if anyone tells you, like, oh, one is, like, 10 times better than the other, they probably haven't, you know, they probably haven't tested it. So we have a lot of ways that we could deal with this. We could just go Tribe. Just go, you know, Tribe. Attack, attack. Or we could just go Manju into Relinquished. And attack. That's like an option too, realistically. I wish we could just, like, drop a BLS maybe, but, like, we don't have the light in our grave. I don't know. I'll just do this. Like, it thins out our deck. And we know our opponent probably has Mirror Force set. Because... Didn't we see it with something? Or am I, like, thinking of the last game? Oh, no, we saw it off Merchant. That's right. For a second, I thought I lost my mind. I was like, wait, how do we know our opponent has Mirror Force? I don't even understand why he would MST here. He could... Oh, because he wants to get it back with Faith. Okay, that's fair. I mean, I've had better results with Chaos Return. But yeah, now we just know two of our opponent's cards. You know, we know that he has MST, and we know that he has Mirror Force. And sometimes it's like people won't read Relinquished, and they just won't realize how it works. Like, realize our opponent can just summon a random monster and attack over our Relinquished. But some people just won't read it, and they just won't understand that it works that way. Because they think it's like, oh, it's probably like a Thousand Eyes Restrict. But it's like, no, this card is actually a lot worse than Thousand Eyes Restrict. So yeah, like, when you consider that our opponent can just run over either of our monsters, our board position is not, like, amazing. But it's like, we did put the light in our grave, which is nice. If our opponent has, like, Kaiku, he'd be faced with an interesting decision. Because it's like, you could get the Kaiku banish or attack over the Relinquished, but not both. Okay, our opponent does, in fact, know what Relinquish does. Snatch Steal would be a good card. So what do we do now? I don't know. I think it was just summon Tribe. I spelled Spellcaster horribly, but it's fine. I think our opponent's probably more likely to have Mirror Force set here than MST, but we'll find out. Okay, that's... I guess we could have hit for another 14. Maybe we should have gone for it. Because, like, setting MST with the Breaker here, like, it's good in this situation, and it's good in the situation where we have a Snatch Steal. But, like, in every other situation, I would think setting Mirror Force is better. Man, having, like... I swear, it's like our opponent's list is not very good. But, like, just having Pre in the spot where there's a Sork in your grave that you legally summoned is very good. You know what? We know from game 2 of last match, our opponent either doesn't main spies or sided them out. So, but we do know that he plays Night Assailant. Because what I'm thinking about here is that just summoning BLS and summoning a Dakochi, it could be game. I mean, Premature is just, like, an awful card, like, 90% of the time. But he just has it, like, in the 10% where it is good. In the previous match, Premature never did anything. Like, we saw it in the previous match, too. It never did anything. But it's good here. But, yeah, if our opponent's monster is not a Night Assailant, then this is game. Because we go, yeah, attack for 7, boom. If it's, yeah, I think we just have to go for game here. We just have to go for game. Because it's like, even if it is Night Assailant, this is not like a horrible spot for us. Okay, alright, we got him. Yeah, I kind of overthought that. Because even if it is Night Assailant there, the only way for him to live is to not kill our BLS. So, like, even if it is Knight Assailant, we just still get better value out of going for game. Right? And obviously, if it's the card that it was, well, then he's just dead. So it's like, it's, for our opponent, it's a lose-lose situation. Oh, yeah, yeah. It has been a long time since I've seen you, Morp. I don't even... Do you ever, like, have those moments where, like, you see someone's name online and you're like, I know that I know this person, but I can't remember anything about them other than their name? That's, like, that's one of those spots. Like, I've seen your name before, but because it's been so long since I've actually, like, talked to you about anything, I literally, like, if I literally couldn't tell anyone anything about you. Because I'd just be like, yeah, Morp, he's the guy who plays, he plays GOAT format. And he's played GOAT format for some time. Oh, this is sick. This is sick. Yeah, nice Knight Assailant, buddy. Nice Knight Assailant. Oh, and we gotta discard Thunder Dragon. That's also a thing. That's also a thing that we want to be doing. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to just tell him that I wanted to just shoot. So he has no lights in his grave. Well, or no, he has Thunder Dragon. He has the light and he has the dark. I think it's pretty easy then, right? We just get rid of the Sork. Oh, he's still summoning Breaker. I was about to say if he was smart, he would probably not play the Breaker now. I might just... This sounds weird, but I might just go, like, Tribe Attack. Just Tribe, no effect, and attack. Just to try to, like, get him to use Book. I mean, it's tempting. Just because I'd want him to book my Tribe, summon Warrior Lady, and then we can, like, snatch Warrior Lady. And then do a thing. If we set Sagan, he just plays Warrior Lady and banishes it. Yeah, we gotta use Tribe's effect, I think. Because we don't really have another option, do we? But then do we want to discard the Dark? Because he plays one Kaiku. So if we discard the Dark, we could get punished. But if we discard the Light, we could also get punished by not having discarded our Dark. Yeah, I'm just going to do the play that is correct like 90% of the time, which is just discard the Dark, kill the Breaker, attack. Yeah, his set is book. I'm going to set the snatch since we don't have to worry about breaker anymore. And if he dust shoots us, I don't want him to see that we have snatch steal. Oh, we draw another dust shoot. I mean, that's kind of good, right? If we attack and it's Warrior Lady, I mean, he just has to banish, I assume, right? If he banishes Tribe, then Sangan can get in for 1,000. So I think we just want to summon Sangan. He could also have MST with Faith set. That's fine, too. So yeah, now he realizes, he's like, oh wait, if I don't banish Tribe, then he kills it. If he does banish Tribe, then Sangan gets in. Okay, he's gonna banish and take the 1,000. That's fine. This was another kind of like a lose-lose situation for our opponent. I mean, I think banishing was correct. If he doesn't banish, we just kill his guy for free. So it's like... So he's got T-Drag Duo. Okay, good luck. Obviously, we hope he doesn't hit our Sork. But even if he did hit our Sork, I would still be feeling pretty good about this spot. Yeah, you're right. He probably just should have booked our Tribe. I agree with you. I mean, I can't come up with a reason that you're wrong, which means that you're probably not wrong. And yeah, he's at 34 now, which is very important. Because realize that if we just get in with Sangan 2 more times, he's at 14. And then, like, any, like, Manju, you know, would be, like, enough to kill him. I think we should jar. And do I want a breaker? So if we summon breaker, he probably books it, and then he doesn't have book for our snatch. But we're probably not going to snatch soon anyways, because we have Sork. So I think we want to attack with Sangan. Set Spy. If he mind controls our Spy, he doesn't have his own Spy. If he cross out Spy, then it thins out our deck of the second Spy, which is also good. So this is probably a Dekochi. Could be a Faith as well. Oh, it's an Azura Priest. Okay, that's fine. Spy is good against Azura Priest too, as it turns out. So yeah, this works out pretty well for us actually. Yeah, we don't know either of these 2 cards. But we know that he's got Azura and 2 Thunder Dragons. Oh, this sucks. Because there's a decent chance he just has, like, a Chaos Monster now. Oh, he doesn't. Just set. Okay, that's fine. I didn't really care about this Spy that much anyway. Yeah, he set book like forever ago. So he's just not booking? The first set is the book, right? And then the second set is something that's chainable. See, this... Oh, whoops. And he's booking Sengen? Okay. I am, like, so incredibly confused. I am so incredibly confused right now. Do we even have targets? Do we have targets? Yeah, we have targets. And Senju's gone already. I think he's just dead. Pretty sure he's just dead. Or maybe, hold on, 34. No. I guess he's not technically dead. Hold on, let me figure it out. If we go Sork attack, and then he Sukus and hits the Manju, Sengen gets in, puts him at 24, and then Ring isn't enough. If we go like boom, 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 boom. No, yeah, there's, assuming that he uses Tsukiyomi's ability correctly, there's no way that this is guaranteed game. But we're still going to do it anyways. Because, I don't know, because I want to, that's why. Okay, well now he's dead then. Oh, is that 2-0? I thought it was like... I didn't realize that was 2-0. Okay. Yeah, it's not like... I tell you, that matchup is like harder than I was expecting it to be. Like, our opponent was not playing very well, and we like barely beat him, which makes me think that like if he was playing well, we probably just would have gotten destroyed. Oh, he won an RPS. Well, I've got that going for me at least. I don't know, like 21 monsters in this deck like feels like too many. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I was playing my own build of this deck, I think I was playing like 19 or 20 or something. Yeah, you know what? I was thinking of not adding Sinister because of Dust Shoot, but if he wants to Dust Shoot and send back my Sinister, like, go ahead. You can Dust Shoot and send back my Sinister. I really don't give a shit. And yeah, you know what? If he wants to mirror Torrential, like, that's fine too. Oh yeah, and he took 1,000 from Duo. So, like, we're off to a pretty good start, I guess. I don't know. I kind of feel like the opposite way. Like, I guess it depends on what you mean by defensive cards. I do feel like a third Raigeki break could do something. Yeah, this might just be my internet. If you guys can still see me in the stream, just, like, let me know. Just drop something in chat. Like, I just want to know if is this my internet or is this Dueling Book? I don't know. I guess it's just Dueling Book. Okay, we'll just say go. And we'll hope that our opponent does not have a Zura Priest. Luckily, no one really plays a Zura Priest, except our last opponent. Huh. So he's playing Mystic, Tomato, and Thunder Dragon. Which, I mean, you don't really see that a ton. I don't know, it might just be like a standard Chaos deck that's playing Mystic Tomato. That's kind of what I would assume, if you had me guess. So I'm just gonna play Breaker here. And kill whatever this is. Ooh, that's juicy. That's juicy. Yeah, we'll put Sork in defense since our opponent appears to be on a Recruiter deck. And fuck it, let's just go for game. Let's just go for game. All right, we are off to a good start. We are off to a fantastic start. And our opponent doesn't have a Dark in his grave. So yeah, we didn't get like a ton of info, really. Our opponent could just be playing like kind of a more aggro-y build of Chaos. Like maybe with Tomatoes and Angels, like we don't know. I would assume like it's probably just like a standard-ish Blast sucked there over break. What are you talking about? Wing Blast was strictly better than Raigeki break there. What? What? Do you think I wanted to just top deck a vanilla monster next turn? I am so confused. That is like the one situation where like Blast is clearly better than Raigeki break. That I don't understand. Like, making your opponent top deck a brick is the whole point of Wing Blast. Oh, what a gross hand. I mean, thankfully card destruction just... Yeah, right, we have come full circle. Card destruction makes everything better here. Card destruction is basically our get out of jail free card. I haven't been impressed with card destruction so far, but it is very good in this situation. Did he just discard multiple Sorks? I'll check in a sec. Magical White Hat. Okay, he's on... How is Spy not a brick? Did you see my... Let me get this straight. You think a card that is strictly worse than Giant Soldier of Stone, when my hand is 100% monsters, isn't a brick? What exactly do you think we were going to do with a top-decked Spy there? I mean, don't get me wrong, you can set it and it has 2,000 defense, but that's it. We had nothing to search with it. I swear it's like, I feel like sometimes people, like, just say things and they don't think about, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick, but, like, I legitimately don't understand. Like, to me, this just seems like such a black and white issue that I'm confused on how there could be any, like, disagreement over it, if that makes sense. Again, you're trying to tell me that you think Spy was a better draw than most other cards in my deck. Right? Like, because obviously understand that if I don't draw Spy, I'm drawing a different card. So how exactly do you think that a vanilla with 1,200 attack and 2,000 defense, when my hand is all monsters, is a good draw? Like, it makes, like, it makes no sense. Like, would I eventually be able to do something with Spy? Yes. I mean, I'll eventually be able to do something with anything. I mean, every card... Yeah, why do you think... Why would I rather top deck a Spy than a Relinquished? Again, like, it just seems like at this point you're just being, like, argumentative. Like, you just don't want to concede that Spy would be a bad draw. Like, anyone who's... Well, I was going to be in a good spot either way, because I was just... I was ahead. Like, our opponent didn't have anything good. Like... But again, like, why exactly do you think I want to top deck a vanilla monster? Like, how is that improving my game plan? Oh, yes, I drew Spy. Now I can do what? Like, again, I just don't understand, like, where, like, it just seems like you just think that it's a good draw because you think that it's a good draw. Like, it doesn't really, like, make a lot of sense. At first I was thinking, oh, did I forget Sinister? But then I realized, well, it was turn 1. So when you are dying and down... I wasn't dying in down cards. And... Spy wasn't a threat. Like... Again, that's... I just legitimately don't understand what you're trying to say. Why would I want to top deck a vanilla monster when my entire hand is monsters? Yes, but think about it from my perspective. Like, you're telling me, imagine if for the sake of the argument, right? For the sake of the argument, imagine Gravekeeper Spy had a special ability, right? That said, you can discard this from your hand and draw 1 card. Would I use that ability there? Yes. Okay, therefore, Wing Blast is better than Raigeki Break. It's that simple, right? I would rather have the top card of my deck than Spy, and it's, like, not even close. Again, it's like... I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like, I don't even think he's trolling. Because here's the... I would say he's just trolling if I hadn't heard, like, 10 other people try to say this type of thing before. Like, are they just all trolling? Every single person? Like, I swear to God. Yeah, here's the thing, like, normally I give people the benefit of the doubt in the sense that I'm, like, a very serious person. If someone says something, I'm just going to take it at face value. I'm not going to be like, oh, maybe they're just kidding. It's like, when most people say things, they're usually not kidding. And often just saying that they're kidding is, like, a way to save face when they realize that they're wrong. So, like... In other words, I'm giving you credit for not just, like, reverting to, like, oh, I was just trolling. Like, I didn't think you were trolling. You know, it sounds like, oh, whoops. You know, it didn't seem like you were trolling, so I'm just like, yeah, he's probably not trolling. Man, having the second swap... Having the second swap is really good for him. And our 1 Black Illusion Ritual is gone because he duoed it. I feel like I'm going to find a way to lose this game somehow. I think we want to keep the Angel set in case he top decks a Recruiter. Then he like doesn't get to use both. I'm thinking whether it's correct to attack. Because if we attack and we top deck Crossout, then the Crossout is dead. But if we do attack and we top deck Chaos Sork, then we get to just use the Sork right away. And we have one Crossout in our deck and one Sork in our deck. So it's literally like a 50-50. But I think I would rather make Sork live. Or sorry, I think I'd rather make Crossout live than Sork. So I think I'm just not going to attack. Yeah, well, see, I got punished. It was a 50-50, guys. There's nothing I could do. It was a 50-50. All right, I'm not going to play Circuit. I'm going to make him think he's safe. I think Snatch is gone, right? Oh, no, Snatch isn't gone. Yeah, you're right, you're right. Tribe and Snatch as well. Yeah, I just get, sometimes I get, like, emotionally attached to the idea of just having no dead cards. Because Crossout is, like, pretty much just a dead card versus deck. I don't even play Tsukiyomi or Book of Moon. So I was thinking of minimizing downside rather than maximizing upside. But maximizing upside was probably better. Well, we have a 75% chance to just win the game on the spot. Oh, okay. What would our next draw have been? Oh, that would have sucked. That would have not been great. Yeah, this deck, it's like a little too bricky for my taste. I don't know. Like, because someone said, oh, I'd make the deck more defensive, and I didn't know what they meant. I haven't been liking the flips that much. I don't know. Maybe they were stream sniping, so they knew they were dead, and that's why they conceded. No, they didn't know about Sork. But yeah, I haven't liked the flips like that much. I mean, Faith, especially Dekochi. Well, I don't know. To be fair, I've like barely even drawn Dekochi. But it's like Faith, I feel like if it's not getting back like a Trinity piece or like a Snatch Steal, I don't know, it's not that great. I mean, obviously, like that game we kind of had like a really nutty hand where we just went card destruction, discard a bunch of bricks, draw into Graceful plus Faith. In Spy, it's like, obviously Spy would be good versus like a Chaos Recruiter opponent, but versus the meta, I don't like it that much. Same with like Reaper. I don't know. I just, the defensive stuff hadn't impressed me. Like some people like play the more aggressive route where they like cut this stuff for like, I don't know, like Abyss Soldiers and Kaikus or something like that. And yeah, I feel like you could play Upstart, you could not play Upstart. This deck also, like, the reason that I play cards in general, like Upstart and Jar Agreed, is if I feel like the deck that I'm trying to build doesn't have 40 good cards. Right? So if I'm building a deck and I'm like, yeah, there literally don't exist 40 good cards for this archetype, then I start adding Upstarts and Jars. And I feel like not only are there not like 40 good cards in this deck, like there might not even be 37 good cards in this deck either. So like I could definitely see just playing 3 jars, 2 upstarts, but not playing upstart to like make Faith better. Because like upstart is like actually like a pretty terrible target for Magician of Faith. Like I don't want to just give my opponent like a bunch of life. You know, like realize that if your Faith gets back an upstart, it's like your Faith was a really, really bad Dekochi. And that's not why we're playing Faith. But I could see just cutting some of this stuff for upstarts just to make the deck run smoother. Not really like, oh, because I want to make my Faith better. I don't know. I haven't been super impressed. I mean, if you want me to play something else for this stream, we can. Or if you guys, like, I don't know, just want to ask me random questions, that's fine too. But yeah, if I was playing this deck, it's like... I like to play kind of like mid-rangey decks. Where it's like, hey, against like the standard Chaos Turbo deck, we're trying to go on the beatdown. But then against versus Warriors, we're like just trying to have card advantage. That's like what I consider a mid-range deck. And that's like how I think you try to play this archetype. So you don't make Relinquish that much. Which is why you don't need Manju and Senju. Manju and Senju are literally the entire reason you play this deck. Like, you don't have to play the 1-up Senju. You can just do 3 Manju. But yeah, most of the time you don't really summon, like, Relinquished. And Relinquished is not a very good card to summon. Like, remember we had that, like, one scenario where it's like, oh, I can use Relinquish to, like, out my opponent's Warrior Lady, but I'm going to end up spending 5 cards to do it. That's, like, what I don't like about Relinquished. Whereas with Zork, I feel like, okay, like, you're not going to play Zork very often. Like, it's similar to Relinquished in that you're not going to play it very much. But at least with Zork, I feel like the upside is higher. Where it's like, okay, I'm playing this monster, it's mostly just a searchable dark, but, like, the 1 in 20 games that I play it, at least it'll win me the game. That's kind of my logic. Whereas Relinquished, it's like, obviously, like, I like it against something like Warriors, but I feel like it's kind of bad against everything else, like, if I'm being totally honest. Like, against Goat Control, I think I'd rather have Zork. Against Chaos, it's like, it's probably close. I don't know. I mean, even against Chaos, like, a lot of times I feel like you just want Zork to, like, clean up their spies. Like, our one Chaos Turbo opponent today wasn't playing spies, so it kind of gives, like, a misrepresentation of what the matchup is normally going to be like. I mean, I already have a Stein deck, right? Like, where is it? Yeah, there it is. I mean, I could play this deck on stream again if you guys want. I'm not gonna lie though. I kind of want to play Empty Jar. No, I would not play Scapegoat in meta. I would not play Scapegoat in meta in in this deck. I think I have this is another build that I have on this account. Yeah, I think this is my build from the video, right? Maybe it's slightly different. Yeah, this is like a really old list. This is a really old list. But that's like the other way to go. I think every time I've played Empty Jar on stream, I've won. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fun. Just because, like, I don't know, some games in a row, it probably wouldn't be fun anymore. But yeah, I think I'm gonna play Empty Jar. And if you don't like it, I don't know, you can tell me to play something else, and then maybe you'll convince me. Maybe you won't. Who knows? I mean, Mind Control, I feel like... One Faith is a staple at Empty Jar. And I think a lot of people don't understand why. Mind Control is also arguably like kind of a staple in Empty Jar. Swords, I mean, you can play something else if you want. We don't really care about Dust Shoot and Solemn that much. I mean, Solemn is good against you, obviously, but it's not, like, the bane of your existence. I'm not even playing Heavy. I'm just playing 3 Trinade, no Heavy, I believe. I mean, you can play the 1 Heavy. Like, if you want to play Heavy over Swords, like, okay, that's fine. You can do that. I'm not going to tell you you're not allowed to do that. This hand is not very good. Psh. Oh, Sego. Yeah, it's probably... I mean, it could just be, like, a Chaos Turbo deck with, like, 1 Blade Knight in it. And I'm not gonna lie regarding Earth Aggro. I think Earth Aggro is not real. I mean, obviously, if you're a good player, you can win with it. But, like, it would take me a lot to convince me to take, like, Earth Aggro to a tournament. Alright, we're just gonna lose this game, I think. We just didn't draw very well. Let's see, 24-38. I guess I could have set Faith, actually. Just because, like, if the swords die... Yeah, I misplayed. I think I misplayed by not setting Faith, but maybe it'll just work out here. Just because we have, like, Reload Bookatayu. I don't know. I'm just going to try to get lucky. That's our plan here. Our plan is get lucky. I'm just going to set Bookatayu. What? Okay, whatever. I'm just going to set Bookatayu and activate Reload. So our plan is basically just to hope to draw a Morphing Jar or a Cyber Jar. I think Morphing Jar is probably better than Cyber Jar here, but I'm not gonna... Alright. Not gonna be picky. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think anyone's ever figured out how to build a side deck for Empty Jar, myself included. So, yeah, don't read too much into that. Don't read too much into the side. But yeah, regarding the Faith, Faith is here instead of Serial Spell. Because Magician of Faith is effectively the same card as Serial Spell, except it's, like, more live in situations where, like, you're not just, you know, where you're not comboing yet. So, like, I can do something like turn 1 Graceful, set Magician of Faith, whereas if I have, like, a Graceful and a Serial Spell, the Serial Spell, like, isn't good. And, like, obviously we can, like, set Faith to bait Crossout so that Crossout doesn't hit something. They're, like... Obviously, we all know that Magician of Faith is generally a better card than Serial Spell. And yeah, we don't know exactly what build he's on, but we saw Spy and Deco. Yeah, I got some good feedback on the video overall. I mean, not all of my points were like super well fleshed out. But yeah, I did get good feedback. And I think I maybe like kind of reached a slightly different audience than my normal one. I don't even know what this deck is. I will say it's like Empty Jar, like sometimes you just lose to damage, right? I mean, that's like probably your worst matchup as an Empty Jar player, is just people who go summon monster attack. See, I think we'll go Trunade here. The nice thing is if our opponent like chains Raigeki Break or something, we just still have another tomato. Which is, I mean, you know, pretty cool. Oh, our opponent could just go Fail to Find here. And then we can't resolve Sangan. Yeah, I think the correct play for him... I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think the correct play for him is actually to just Fail to Find here. Which is... I mean, it's very funny. But, like, even I didn't realize it. Like, I didn't realize it until I was doing the play. I'm like, wait, my opponent could just Fail to Find, and then I can't resolve my Sangan. Oh, that is so gross. Yeah, so, realize that Tomato and Shining Angel are both optional. So, yeah. But even if it was mandatory... Or no, if it was mandatory, you would have to find a target, yeah. But so when I say Fail to Find, I mean that you could just not use the effect. I think some people understood what I meant. But you're right, that was a little confusing, the way that I worded that. So yeah, we're just gonna reload for 6. Okay, I guess then we just card destruction. Yeah, there's no reason to, like... Sorry, Paul, you just missed the rituals. I got kind of tired of the rituals, so I decided to spice things up a bit. And then we've already normaled. Yeah, my opponent doesn't think that this mind control play works. So I'm just going to link him the ruling. No reason in arguing with people. So yeah, I'm just giving my opponent a second to read the ruling that I sent him. But by the way, this is why, like, mind control, one of the reasons that mind control is good at empty jar is the fact that, like, we can do this. Our mind control was basically an upstart goblin, which is pretty good, right? And then you'll see that, in a battle position, blah, 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 in GOAT format, if you take control of one of your opponent's monsters, you will always be entitled to your manual battle position change, even if it was just summoned that turn. That's basically the gist of the ruling. So there's, like, a few applications for this. This is, like, one of the common ones. The other one is, like, Scapegoat and Snatch Steal, right? So say, for example, like, for whatever reason, like, my opponent used Scapegoat in my main phase. Like, let's say I'm playing Reasoning Gate, let's say, right? I'm playing Reasoning Gate, I went Giant Trunade, and my opponent chained Scapegoat. They have 4 tokens in defense. What I could do is snatch a Goat token, turn it to attack, and then say MST or Heavy to give them back the Goat token in attack, even though it was just summoned that turn. That's, like, the other, that's, like, the other scenario where this ruling comes up. And I know this is, like, one of those things people go, oh, GOAT format rulings are lame, whatever. And it's like, to be honest, you're not wrong. Like, if you think that's a lame ruling and you think GOAT format should just use the current format ruling, you're entitled to your opinion. Oh, and now we have Morphing Jar, which is kind of interesting. So it's, do we want to use the morphing or do we want to burn, like, another, you know, another whatchamacallit. I think I'll just upstart, see what I draw. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're gonna need like double card destruction here. So we can put one on top with feather. Graceful. Goes to 13. Oh, let me think. Yeah. So yeah, I think we just graceful here. And we go discard these. These obviously don't do anything. And are all of our monsters in our grave? Yeah, our deck is all spells at this point. When you say, am I going to play time travel, how exactly do you think I would play time travel? Like, play time travel where? Like on Master Duel? So yeah, like I said, deck's all spells. Well, I don't know, like, what you mean by anywhere, because I live in a country that doesn't sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and on Dueling Book, I'm pretty sure no one's going to play time travel. So the only place I could play time travel would be on Master Duel. That's, yeah, that's the only way that I conceivably could play it. I don't know. They don't have 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, you're right. They do have exactly 13. Only because we kind of got a lucky Cyber Jar. But yeah, I'll just feather and, I don't know, discard book. And Pot of Greed, I guess. And we get to get rid of 5. We draw 2. Okay. Yeah, so we'll just go set this. Set this. Set this. So if our opponent had hit 2 monsters off the Cyber Jar instead of only 1 monster, then we couldn't have been able to use card destruction for game right away. So what I was thinking about was how I could set up multiple card destructions. But then, of course, we didn't need multiple card destructions. So yeah, it's 1-1. Our opponent gets to go... I mean, yeah, the whole point of the deck is to deck our opponent out. Yeah, it's 1-1. Our opponent gets to go first for game 3. Which, I mean, that's definitely an advantage, right? I live in Cambodia, and I do not plan on leaving anytime soon. The border dispute with Thailand makes me a little nervous, but it's gonna be fine. Later this year, I'm gonna go visit Vietnam, but that's just like a vacation. I'm not going to live there. Oh, why? Why? Ugh. Alright, we're gonna lose unless we just draw reload, I guess. Or card destruction. This is not gonna end well for us. $33. I mean, I guess, I don't know, next turn, what, we'll maybe set book. We just need, like, reload card destruction, pot graceful. Oh my god. Okay. How to side against Empty Jar? I mean, the answer is you don't. Empty Jar is, like, not even 1% of the meta. So if you're going to a tournament, you just pretend Empty Jar doesn't exist. But, like, if you're in the situation where it's like, hey, I'm against Empty Jar, what do I do now? I'll just take 33 again. I mean, like, if you've got, like, Dust Tornado on your side, you bring that in. If you've got Trap Dust Shoot in your side, you bring that in. If you got Solemn in your side, you bring that in. Even if you have Mobius in your side, you probably bring it in. Like, Mobius is going to be a shitty card like 90% of the time, but it's probably better than what you're siding out. Again, it's like, yeah, Jowgen also, if it's in your side, you bring that in. So yeah, that game we just didn't do anything. Yeah, Jowgen is like actively a good card against Empty Jar. Dust Tornado, you just bring it in because I guarantee it's better than whatever you're siding out. Right? Like if you're siding out, I don't know, you're siding out Mirror Force for Dust Tornado. Yeah, the Dust Tornado is going to get more value than Mirror Force on average. If you're siding out like Snatch Steal for Dust Tornado, yeah, Dust Tornado is going to get more value than Snatch Steal. Basically, anything in your side that can interact with an Empty Jar opponent, you bring it in. Alright, maybe we should try one more time. If I lose 2 in a row with Empty Jar, I'm gonna look silly, but those are the risks you have to take. Losing game 1 is tough. You don't want to be losing game 1 as an Empty Jar player. Why am I nervous about Thailand? I don't know. Why is Ukraine nervous about Russia? I mean, I'm not trying to get political, but just read the news. Thailand is very much trying to do the same thing that Russia is doing to Ukraine. The difference is that it's a conflict that doesn't invite that doesn't involve white people, so the Western media doesn't talk about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there aren't any shots being fired yet, but like it could very easily, could very easily turn into that is what I'm trying to say. I'm thinking if I should Minecon here. I think I probably will. Just in case it's like Night Assailant. I don't want to get hit by like Night Assailant here. Okay, I guess our opponent is a Shining Angel Enjoyer. I can't say I blame him. The nice thing about this opening, though, like playing cards like this turn 1, is we've kind of disguised what our deck is. Our opponent does not think we are an empty jar player. He thinks we are a chaos player with a tech mind control. What allows you to play Yu-Gi-Oh! During work hours? Is that like a hypothetical? Like, hey, how can I trick my boss into thinking that I'm working while I'm actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Is that... I don't know. Question too vague. I mean, in the future, I'm sure we'll just all be having, like, AI bots that pretend to work for us while we actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! Hope that helps. Imagine how hard we get screwed here if our opponent just chains Dust Shoot to this Giant Grenade. Luckily, I don't think our opponent has Dust Shoot, but, you know. Okay, if you're asking me if I work, I don't have a job. I'm retired. So if that's your question, then that's my answer. Yeah, I wasn't really concerned about Shoot, I'll be honest. What were even the monsters? I know it was Breaker, Angel, and Y Dragon. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go pot. Is this pre gonna be relevant? Oh yeah, the pre can be relevant because we have book. He quit the whole duel? He quit the... All right, I'll answer some questions since people are like asking me IRL questions. So, how did you retire so young? 1, I saved money. 2, I moved to Cambodia. Pretty simple formula. I'm not saying you have to go to Cambodia specifically. There are a lot of good other destinations to retire. Like if you're familiar with like the YouTube channel Nomad Capitalist, he talks about this stuff a lot. Although his audience is mainly like rich people, a lot of what he says applies to like middle class people too. So if you're looking for like good countries to retire to, obviously like everyone's gonna have slightly different preferences, but like in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, 5 countries, all very good retirement destinations. If you're looking like in Latin America, maybe you like can speak some Spanish and that's more of your vibe. Costa Rica, Panama, Ecuador, Colombia, Argentina. And like if you're looking for something in like maybe kind of like Eastern Europe, like Egypt, Turkey, Georgia, those are all good retirement destinations. Oh, here we go again. Someone in chat wants to set me off. Southeast Asian countries, other than the Philippines. Philippines is different. I'm not talking about the Philippines. Southeast Asian countries are literally some of the safest countries in the world. Like, okay, they're not safer than, like, I don't know, Denmark. They're not safer than, like, Norway. They're not safer than Japan. But, like, every other country they're safer than. Understand that my bicycle is worth more than most people's monthly salaries, and I can just leave it out on the street and no one will take it. That's not like a hypothetical. That's like an actual thing that I do. I can just leave it out there all day. No one takes it. Like, I swear, it's like you can tell like who's never left the West before when people say like Southeast Asian countries aren't safe. They are literally safer than like basically every Western country. Safer than America. Safer than Canada. Safer than the UK. Safer than France. Safer than Italy. Although, I don't know. You know, maybe safer than Italy isn't saying a whole lot. You know, safer than Greece, safer than Spain, safer than Portugal. We literally just have no crime here. I don't own any IRL cards anymore. Cards aren't sold in Cambodia. I know in Thailand they sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I just mentioned that. Like, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam are safer than basically every Western country other than, like, Northern Europe. Plus, like, maybe New Zealand. I don't know. I'm not saying I know the crime stats on every single country in the world. But, like, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia all have, like, basically zero crime. Like, they have white-collar crime to an extent. Like, you have, like, scammers that, like, set up shop in these countries, but like that's not like violent crime. Yeah, I don't own any Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, for what reason? There are no Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments here. They're just collecting dust. They're just losing value. Right? Trading cards are generally a depreciating asset. So yes, I sold all my cards because there's no reason to have them. Same reason I sold my car. Right? Like, sure, I could have like put my car in storage somewhere in America and then maybe eventually like came back for some reason, but why would I do that? It's a depreciating asset that I'm never using. There was, and here's the ritual deck if you guys want to ask me about that. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's funny. It's like, so I grew up like, my sort of like my teenage years were during like the George W. Bush administration. So like a lot of the way that I view politics in the world was based on like how that administration behaved. And one thing I always heard during that time was like, you know, when you tried to criticize the government, people would say like, oh, if you don't like America, well then you should just leave. And it was kind of like a sort of a dismissive remark, right? But at some point I was like, no, wait, they have a point. You know, you know what I mean? I started like being like, you know what? They actually, if you don't like America, you should just leave. If you don't like any country, you should just leave, right? Like if you're, I don't know, maybe you live in Australia and you're like, oh, Australia is shit, then go live somewhere else, right? Like that's, and it's the same thing, by the way, like even with Yu-Gi-Oh! I know people might like think that's kind of a ridiculous parallel to draw, but like 90% of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Players that I talk to would just do nothing but complain about Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'd just be like, okay, then why are you still playing exactly? You know? Why, like, if all you do is complain about something, then why are you doing it? And even to some extent, that influenced my decision to not become a math professor. It's not that all the math professors did was complain, but I felt like they complained a little bit. Like, they didn't seem like they were satisfied with their job. Like, they weren't constantly talking about, like, oh, man, I just love being a math professor, right? If they did, I probably would have, like, pursued that more heavily. But it seemed like they're kind of like, the school doesn't give us enough funding. You know, people don't understand why math is important, whatever. Yeah, I don't. Multiple questions here. Did you ever try Min Fin? I don't know what Min Fin is. Is that like a game or is that like a financial thing? I don't know what that is. Sure, easy to slay you. We can do an interview for the Gumo deck. I think I still have it on the account. I don't know if you've changed your builds. But yeah, we could do that on stream. Why don't, what time is it? Okay, it's like 12. So easy to slay you. Do you want to like hop on Discord or something? Oh. No, it's funny. I've had Yu-Gi-Oh players try to convince me to like, oh, you should take this drug, you should take that drug. And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. And here's the thing. Again, I'm like the king of, you know, ridiculous comparisons and analogies. Like, imagine for a sec, because realize what all of these, like, drugs that stop hair loss do? What they do is they're basically hormones. Hormones are just messenger chemicals, right? Hormones are messenger chemicals. So what they do is these drug companies are creating a hormone that basically tries to tell your head, hey, start growing more hair. That's basically what it is. And pretty much all hormones that you could take for any sort of condition do have a risk of side effects. Now, I'm not saying that they always have side effects. And again, for like 95% of people, these drugs have no side effects. But there's the 5% chance that they do have side effects. And some of them, they're different ones. But like some of them, for example, have the side effect of erectile dysfunction. So imagine I like go to my wife and say, hey, I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is, look at my hair. Bad news is, well, my dick's not working anymore. I don't think that's a great trade-off. And imagine for a second, imagine if there was like a drug for women that made their boobs bigger. Like, you know, some sort of hormone that basically tells their boobs, hey, make bigger boobs. And imagine if drug companies tried to market this to women, how they would feel about it, right? They would just be like, oh, you should just accept me for who I am, like, it's natural, whatever, right? Like, any woman who is even, like, slightly progressive would feel greatly insulted by that drug. And for good reason, by the way. This isn't like I'm trying to shit on feminists, right? That's not what this is about. This is about the feminists are right in this case. So, like, to me, it's like there's, in our society, I feel like there is a bit of a double standard where it's like, okay, you know, at the societal level. Like, it's okay to tell men, like, hey, you should take this drug to change your appearance. Whereas if we told any women that, they would lose their shit collectively. So, I don't know. To me, it's like, I don't care. And, like, in Asia, realize that, like, in the area that I live in, like, hair loss isn't a thing here. Like, Khmer men don't ever lose their hair. So, like, I've legitimately met people who think I have cancer because they don't understand how I could be bald. So, in this society especially, it would be even more necessary to take these drugs to kind of fit in with the rest of society because they see it as kind of like a weird thing. But at the same time, they don't care, right? It's not like they're like, hey, I'm not going to talk to Alan because he doesn't have hair. It's just, wow, it's really weird that this guy's in his 30s and doesn't have hair, right? Like, they think it's weird, but they're not, like, judging you for it. And even women, it's like, yeah, they'd probably prefer a guy with, like, a full head of hair. But for a lot of them, I think it's, like, a relatively minor thing. And I think there are, like, plenty of guys, you know, that are celebrities or on social media or whatever that are bald and look fairly attractive, right? Like, I'm not saying I'm one of them, by the way. If you think I'm ugly, well, you have a right to your own opinion. But, hold on. Let me just get the Discord for Easy to Slay You. Just so that we can move on. So yeah, obviously, like, if you want to take a drug to, like, improve your hair growth, I don't care. You can do what you want. It's fine. I just don't think people should feel like they have to. And I don't think they do. By the way, I'm not trying to, like, over-exaggerate this. I don't think society puts, like, a ton of pressure on men to, like, avoid losing their hair. Like, it's not, like, something that we're being told constantly. But I do think it is, like, a little bit hypocritical. So yeah, Easy to Slay You. If you're still here, if you didn't get tired of hearing me talk about hair, then yeah, if you're still here, then just add me on Discord, and we'll go from there. Can you speak some phrase in Cambodian? By the way, the language is called Khmer. Khmer refers to both an ethnicity, a nationality, and a language. And they do that for, like, all languages. So, for example, you know, menu anglais, mopi anglais, nung nie anglais. What I just said is that English people come from England and speak English. That's what I just said in Khmer. Because for every, like, language / ethnicity / country, they use the same word. All right. And if you want me to say, like, I don't know, some other stuff I know in Khmer, you know, Nio Mien Shma Moi, which means I have one cat. Hey, Easy to Slay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. I can
No.
hear you too. All right, great. Um,
Okay, wait.
so
Let's see. Okay, now I can hear you. Yeah, cool.
chat, can you tell me if like if the audio levels are about the same? Like easiest like I don't know, say something. I just want to make sure that my voice isn't like a lot louder than yours or vice versa.
Okay, yeah. Does it sound good?
Yeah, chat. Does it sound good? Do you feel like you can hear him? Hold on, let me. Might just be easier if I pull up OBS. Um, I don't know. Say something else.
What's up, guys?
I think based on OBS, it looks like the audio levels. The other guy is slightly louder. Okay,
It's
it's
not
it's it's
too
it's close
bad.
enough. All right. Well, I've got multiple people saying that I should be slightly louder.
Okay, okay.
Hold on. All right, I made myself slightly louder. Um, so I'm not gonna lie. I think I'll just probably just let you talk about the deck. I mean, I've given my thoughts on the deck before. I've like played it on stream.
Yeah, I've seen I think the two videos you did of playing it, your thoughts on it, and you definitely you ran it better than most people do when they first pick it up because it I think it definitely requires like a different play style than what people are kind of used to doing. But yeah, I took like this same exact list to the EU championships and it performed very well. So I was happy with it. Um, and it like it's kind of yeah, it's very damagey, it's very unorthodox. It just kind of tries to pressure the opponent as fast as possible and not let them essentially not let them play. I mean, is the best way of putting it. But yeah, I mean, do you want me to just go over the deck list or why I chose what I chose or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people who might play a deck like this, they might be like
Hmm.
choosing between this and like just kind of the standard warrior build.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm curious as to like what you think the pros and cons are. Like obviously in this deck, like you're not playing BLS, which I think is pretty huge.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
Swift Gaia and like Jirai Gumo are really good cards. Obviously, I mean Swift Gaia is like the better
Yeah.
card, but like you can't play two of it because if you draw both, then they just brick each other.
Yeah. And you can't play BLS with Guy because you can end up in a
Yeah,
situation where even if I ran more darks in this deck, you could have Gaia and BLS, but BLS isn't live yet, and it just wouldn't work, you know? But yeah, I kind of yeah, you have to sacrifice the BLS for the Gaia. And to be honest, in the deck, BLS doesn't make sense unless I add like take out the assailants for like Haiku or Dawn or
sure.
some other darks. But yeah, I mean there are pros and cons versus like standard warrior. This deck, I was just discussing this with someone today, is like this deck is Warriors has a much more broad strategy. If it falls behind, you're not as I think it's easier to make a comeback in a standard warrior deck than this one. Whereas like if you fall behind in this deck, it's like the whole point is to not let the opponent gain momentum. So like drawing into time seals and drop offs, if your opponent opens like wins RPS and opens like two Trinity pieces, it's not very good, right? And so I think though this deck does a better job of definitely pressuring the opponent than standard warriors. So I just I think I built this deck initially because I like fast-paced games. Like my attention span is not very great. So I also got onto Gumo specifically when I was in ladder. It's a funny story. I was playing an admin and she would constantly run Gumo skill drain. And I was playing Standard Warriors at the time, and it was like my 6-0 loss that I was just like I could not deal with Guma no matter what I did. And it wasn't even the skill drain necessarily that it was the issue, it was just the fact that I was just I would out the Gumo, then she would summon another Gumo, and then she would call the Gumo, and I'm like, okay, I can't. I had an epiphany at like the sixth loss that wait, I actually don't need skill drain to make Gumo good. I can just run Gumo. And then I was trying to think of other cards to utilize that would help Gumo um, make the game very quick and me not caring about losing the LP as much because I'll just end the game quickly. And so I always loved card like drop offs because I played it in other formats and I'm like, wait, time seal's legal. So I just was like, oh wow, this is fantastic. So I just threw both of those in there and that's kind of how the deck started to build, be built. And I think the last addition to the deck that I was trying to round out the deck, the very last set of cards was Compulse was added to the deck. Um, because I was trying to think of three more cards and I just realized Compulse is very versatile and I think it's a really underplayed card because not only does it not care what positions your opponent's mons are in, like Mind Control and Brain Con are contingent on like face up, and then also Mind Control, you kind of have to play the guessing game of like,
Hmm.
oh, is it going to be an actual effect mon or is it going to be something that's like just going to make me go neg one? Um, and so I just Compulse doesn't care. It also protects against Snatch, Ring,
Hmm.
um, Rake, Saku, anything like that. And it can two interesting interactions. One, you can compulse to make your dust shoot live again. It does happen more often than people think.
Hmm.
And then also like Sorks, if they don't have a dark or light engrave, returning it and not letting them get it back on the field does happen too. So um yeah, I took it to you, didn't change a single thing because I tested on FLC ladder a lot with this deck, and I was thinking, okay, I can make this better by moving things or like, taking out the comps for Sakus or adding in Sasuke's or adding in, Dawn or whatever, taking out Torrent. And every single thing I did to the deck just made it worse. And so I just, yeah, decided to take it to you and then it won. So it was a pretty cool experience.
Cool. So, like, I know one guy in chat was like asking, like, why not play like a third Jirai Gumo? I mean, my question is like kind of in a similar vein to that, which is like, how did you
Yeah.
get to like this monster lineup? It's exactly like I feel like you could easily cut like one DD assailant for like a Kaiku or a third Jirai Gumo or I don't know, like something else. So,
So I tested an FLC ladder a lot actually to that point. I did cut this Assailant for a third Gumo, and after a lot of games, it made me realize uh, I was losing more than before, and it was because the third Gumo really draws down your LP too early in the game. Um, it's like you don't necessarily care that much about your LP with a deck like this, but there are times when if you only run two Gumo, you're much more better able to utilize playing Gumo later or when your LP is already down and you don't care as much. So you can time it a lot better with two Gumo. Whereas if you run three, it's like sometimes the only mon in your hand is a Gumo and you have to play it. And you're going to take 4K for attacking. Um, so yeah, it seemed to draw down the LP too early. That's why I kind of switched back. Um, and Prem is a card you can play. The only thing I would say is there are going to be games where it's not live.
Sure.
And I don't I if I would like if I don't have like data on it per se. If I were to make a hard guess, it would probably be like I would expect like 1 out of 10 games for Prem not to be live. And in a tournament setting, it's like you want to cut down on those kind of statistics as much as possible, like where card isn't going to be live, because if it does come up, um, then it can lose you the game. So it's not like you can. I just think that, with the triple solemns and the, ring, and then you want to play Gumos, it just is a risk. So,
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
pretty much agree with everything you said. Like on the two Gumo, like I totally agree because you're kind of like keeping your options open there, where it's like, hey, if I open like a Gumo and a Blade Knight, I can summon the Blade Knight, save the Gumo for later. If I open an
mhm,
Assailant and a Gumo, I can summon the Assailant, save the Gumo for later. Whereas, like,
yeah.
yeah, so I agree with that. I think though it's like because even some people that are watching this, I think they might view this deck as like being kind of high risk in a way, which is something that you're kind of
Mhm.
talking about with the pre too. Like, oh, I sort of want to like minimize my variance in a tournament setting or whatever. I don't think
Yeah.
that really like matters as much as people think. In other words, it's like if pre isn't if there's a better alternative than pre, well then okay, fine, don't play pre. But to me, like whether it's ladder or tournament,
Mhm.
it's like it's all the same stuff. And if anything, it's
Yeah.
like the mathematics behind tournaments, how tournaments work, actually shows kind of the opposite, which is that like you want more variance because you're going to have to get lucky anyway in like a 10 round tournament, right? Like
Mhm.
if you go
Mhm.
to like a YCS and it's like, oh, I've got to whatever go 9-2 and then like win in top 32 and then in top 16 and then in top 8 whatever, it's like at some point in that run you're going to have to get lucky. Um
Yeah.
and it's same thing like if anyone who's watching like enters poker tournaments, it's the same thing, right? Like in a poker tournament, you can't play it safe the entire tournament because then like you're just sort of inevitably setting
Yeah,
yourself up for failure.
you're gonna get grinded out.
Right,
So,
exactly.
um, yeah, I mean, you could replace a comp with a prem. It's not like I mean, I wouldn't like sit there and have disagreements with it at all. It's just, I think kind of preference. I mean, maybe Prem does perform better. It's actually one of the things I didn't test as much on the FLC ladder because I was testing out a lot of different things. But that was one that I didn't test out as much as I would like. But yeah, and I think I also tried cutting Torrent, but I also realized Torrent gets you out of really sticky situations.
Yeah.
So it just like especially like if they have spies up already on the board and then they try to force like summon a Sork, like having a Tauren is just really good. Um, but yeah, I mean, not a lot I would I don't think I would change much at all, if anything, unless people do add a card or two that would work, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, talk about like say there's a tournament tomorrow and you're playing this deck. Like what matchups
Mhm.
are you most worried about? And then like what matchups are you hoping to like get paired against? I mean, off the top of my head,
So
like one thing that
yeah.
I like about decks like this is you just absolutely destroy any combo deck. I mean, am I right?
Yes, you do. You do. Um, the you destroy combo decks. The thing that is difficult, uh, and people right off the bat might not think this, and this is why my side is kind of heavy RGT. Although you don't encounter the deck that much at all, but it does pop up. I had two finals actually with RGT. If I didn't have Jowgen, I probably would have lost. But
Mm.
it's RGT opens cracked or it doesn't. It's kind of one of those high roll decks, and The problem with this deck is if they do open cracked, that my drop offs and time seals at that point really aren't doing anything. And then my Nox comp isn't great. Dust Shoot isn't really that great. So what I have going for me is kind of Solemns and my heavy battle traps like Mirror Ring and Torrent and Snatch. So I don't like it's just either I always feel like it's a coin toss when I play that deck, and so I know if I post side, I'm very confident about winning the game, and it's really one of the deck like the other two decks I really have a bad matchup against are Control, Chaos Control, and Burn. So
Mm.
um, I just figure that a lot of my side is dedicated to those three decks. Because I'm pretty confident against Warriors, like actually really confident against that deck, and I'm like CT matchup is great. It's not like I have a big problem with it. So my side, yeah, is very heavily focused on three specific decks. So that was kind of my thought process.
Okay, that's fair. Uh, I mean, I'll be honest, I know that people are gonna say like, "Oh, this guy's lying," in regards to this deck having a good matchup against Chaos Turbo, because Chaos Turbo players they just think they beat everything, right? They just think they have zero bad matchups. So
Yeah, yeah, I
why?
know.
And it's like I don't just want to say like, "Oh, it's just because like they're stupid," right? That would be like kind of a lazy argument. So like, why is it that you
Yeah.
think that like in other words, there's some sort of disconnect, right? Where you think this deck has a good
You're
matchup
gonna
against
you're gonna
Chaos
get me
Turbo, but
you're
other
gonna get me in
people,
so much trouble.
yeah. So like, why, like when you say like this deck has a good matchup against Chaos Turbo, is that you saying like,
Yeah.
hey, if I get paired against Anthony Alvarado in a tournament and he's playing Chaos Turbo, I think I'm favored.
Um, I would say it's definitely like I'm not disfavored. Let's say that, but I think that oh man, how do I word this without the whole CT community
I mean, you're
like
allowed to have
trashing
an
on me?
opinion. Like, what I want to
Yeah.
what I want to get is to not what your opinion is, but like why.
Yeah.
Like, is it that you
Okay,
just think that
so
most aggro decks in general are favored against Chaos Turbo? Like, because you said you played like regular Warriors. Like, do you think this deck is
yeah.
doing better than regular Warriors against Chaos Turbo? Or are you just basically saying, like, I have big monster, I mean, obviously you've got like Jirai Gumos to attack over spies. You've got Swift Guy to
Yeah.
attack over spies. Like, that's obviously pretty
Yeah.
huge. Like, is that why
Yeah.
you think you're favored?
No, I think I'm favored because if we're speaking average hands in Chaos Turbo, where we just discount them not opening like double Trinity or something ridiculous, then they don't like. I would say if a CT players opens up an average hand against this deck, they have a very hard time winning. Because I just don't let them build momentum or player get into something that can essentially give them that back. Now, with standard warriors, they do have solemns and they do have shoots, but it's the time seal, the drop offs, and the huge the the very short time clock they're on to get something broken that makes it so that I feel very much in favor of winning the game. And I think like yeah, of course they can open up broken, but it's just not gonna happen all the time. And yeah, I don't know. I just always feel that when I don't see them draw into a Trinity piece, I'm usually winning the game. So it's like it's just kind of Chaos Turbo's like I don't know. I just feel heavily relies on the Trinity pieces. So I just I like playing this a lot more than that deck.
Okay. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm also kind of curious. Maybe other people don't care, but I care. Are there like other players that are playing this deck, like maybe that you've like interacted with? Because of course, like once like you've done very well in like several tournaments with this deck. I assume you've had people come to you and
Yeah.
say like, "Hey, I'm thinking of playing your deck. Can you give me advice, whatever?" Have you sort of like passed this off to
Yeah.
another player and like seen them get like really good results? And like, if not, like, why?
Yeah, so there's actually a good amount of players that have picked up the deck now. I know Dennis he's played it quite a bit. I think Havology got second in a PWCQ recently with the
Yeah,
deck.
yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, and there's a number of other players that messaged me and wanted just suggestions on how to play it, and they would send me replays and say, okay, what could I have done differently, or how should I play this out? And I think that when you pick up a deck or any deck that's kind of unorthodox or you're not familiar with it, just kind of takes time getting used to how to run it. And so I think, yeah, there's just certain little things that or decisions that you need to make that obviously can make or break a game. And uh, I was actually going over a replay with someone today where I didn't have Solemn, but I set everything. And the reason I did that was it was in the finals against Ghost Rider for the EU. And the reason I did that is because my hand was so broad, it covered pretty much everything that if they didn't have Heavy Storm, I knew they were going to lose. And I think if I run the math after drop off, the chances of them having Heavy Storm in their opening hand is like 7.5%. So my thought process is like if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, you have a 93% chance of winning this game if you do X," then I'm just gonna take it, right?
Right.
But if I get hit with duo, if I leave it open to duo and heavy, which is much higher of a percentage at that point, then it becomes more of the game becomes more, you know, arguably who's going to win, right? So I think there's just like certain things, like also the links and how you chain drop off and dust shoot and uh, just saving Gumo for later and just different things. But I think once you get the hang of like the deck, it performs very well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like I think you just kind of play it the way that you play most aggro decks. I mean, I think some players probably just won't play
Mhm.
aggro no matter what because they're like, well, that's not what I signed up for. I signed up for Goat format, not Blade Knight format. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's like as time has passed in Goat format, like if you look at like the really old deck list from I don't know, 8 years ago compared to now, monster stats is like kind of like the main thing that the community has like figured out. Like, hey, wait, like the stats that a monster has actually just matters a lot. Like that's like
Yeah.
even aside from aggro decks, like why is it that every control deck is playing like Dekochi and Gravekeeper Spy, right? It's because of their stats.
Right.
That's basically the entire reason. And with aggro decks, it's like
Yeah.
the same thing. Like I'm not trying to like steal anyone's thunder or whatever, but I was like one of the first people to say like, hey guys, I think like Blade Knight has like a lot of potential in Goat format, and people just kind of shit on me
Hmm.
for that. They're
Hmm.
like, oh, it dies to Tsukiyomi. A lot of times it only has 60, whatever. It's like Blade Knight is legitimately
Yeah.
one of the best monsters in the entire format because it has 2,000
Yeah. No, it
attack
is.
and it gets card advantage, right? Like, imagine if Don's Luke
Hmm.
had like 2,000 attack, how ridiculous that card would be,
Oh
right? Like,
man. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's kind of like, are you familiar with like the midwit meme where it's like the bell curve or whatever? I don't know if people in
No,
chat
no.
probably know. So it's like, I feel like, the left side of the bell curve is like the stupid person saying big monster good. And then the middle part of the
Yeah.
bell curve is someone saying like no, it's like all card advantage that matters. Like stats don't matter. And then
Right.
the end of the
Yeah,
bell curve
right.
is like big monster good. So that's
No,
what I
stats matter, you know, it's just like it is what it is. 'Cause you could be up three or two cards or four cards even, and if you can't get over a mon, it just you're allowing the other opponent to potentially make a comeback by getting a powerful piece, and so um yeah, it just the other thing is with this deck is like you don't always have to summon Gumo and attack. Like if you think of Gumo as kind of a face-up attack spy, you can just kind of sit and block Warrior if you know they've used like Snatch Steal or Ring or something already, because it's very hard for them. They only have so many outs to it, and so if you're in a position where you want to like wait to draw into a Solemn before attacking, or you want to like wait to make sure that you're more protected, you can just like summon Gumo and pass. You don't have to like be offensive with it. Um, but yeah, it's I agree with you completely.
yeah, and yeah, I also agree with you on like not having to attack with Goop. That's like even more true, by the way, if you're playing like Earth Aggro with Goblin Attack Force. Like if you're playing a deck with three Goblin Attack
Hmm.
Force, your entire plan against Warrior is summon Goblin Attack Force, never attack with it, because they just can't
Yeah.
do anything. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's and even it's like as someone who obviously like plays a lot of different decks, primarily control. I've even had situations where I'm playing against warriors, I'm playing a control deck, and I play like Thousand Eyes Restrict. I take one of their monsters
Hmm.
and I just don't attack with it, because why would I
Yeah.
need to attack with
Hmm.
it? Like if I attack into the warrior player's Saku, then I just lose my Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then maybe they just start playing
Yeah.
more monsters, and now I'm dead. Whereas like
Right. Right.
you can just not attack with it. Like that's I think a lot of times like with any monster, whether we're talking about Goblin Attack Force, Jurai Gomo, even something like Swift Gaia, like just any monster, just because you can attack doesn't mean that you have to. So yeah, it sounds like you really
Yeah.
know what you're doing with this deck, and yeah, unless you have like any like extra stuff that you want to add or closing comments or whatever, I think I'm ready to call it a
Yeah.
day.
No, not yeah, not really. Just I think the deck has proven to perform pretty well, and it's probably the list I'm gonna end up taking to Worlds. Yeah, I don't see myself changing anything, but yeah, I'm glad there's people out there enjoying it too. And it's cool to see kind of the meta, not just with my deck, because I don't want to take like, oh, it's just me, but the meta I see has been shifting more off just purely being CT to a lot of different other decks, which is cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, it's subtly shifting. Oh, I did have one last question. What is your plan against Royal Decree? Or is there just I hope I never
So
run into it? I mean that can be a valid plan, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, no, so yeah, we don't speak about that card. The thing is, it's kind of it's three versus three outs, right? So you have
Okay.
heavy MST breaker versus the three roll decree, and another person and I were talking about this in chat is that the main issue with royal decree is that, well, for the opponent, is that they have to open it. If it's not a card you want to see mid to late game, because at that point I fire off my traps pretty rapidly and I'm
Right.
pretty much simplifying the game state to a point where you don't want to top deck a royal decree because you're dying.
Yeah.
And it's so if they do open it, it's just kind of one of those things I have to just suck up, and that's the game, right? Nothing really I can do. Because if I start worrying about it and adding cards in my side deck that like deal with it, like double snare or something really unorthodox,
Yeah.
I just feel I'm being a little over, I don't know what's the word, but kind of like I think it would backfire on me to do so. And and a lot of people don't run Jinzo either, so it's kind of yeah, I'm not too worried about those cards, but it does happen, it does happen. So it is a weakness for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and like I think your sort of like attitude towards deck building is it's the attitude that like most people should have, which is I think some people are too like they're too risk averse. They're like, "Oh, I just have to build a deck
Hmm.
that like never takes risks, like never has any bad matchups." And it's like by trying to do that, you're
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Hopefully the
No,
other
I know
people
what you're
watch.
saying, and yeah, the problem is in trying to achieve it, you're never going to because I think
Right, exactly.
the yeah,
Like
it's
sometimes I
just
say like not taking risk can be the biggest risk of all.
yes,
Like
yes, yes,
um
and I think you just have to kind of focus your plan on being uh, under like trying to broadly just perform the best. Uh, like I don't want to keep you, but I think the one thing I was talking about too is like some people in their side decks instead of putting like double copies or triple copies of a card, they'll try to like do 1 1 1 1 1 1, and I think you can do that, but I think at the same time it's like hyper focusing can lead to defeat, and it just I think when you have cards that broadly cover things rather than focusing on really niche situations that it ends up being the better decision. So, yeah.
yeah, I mean at the end of the day you just do whatever is the highest EV. Like someone in chat earlier asked me
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Oh, how should I side for empty jar?" And I'm like, "Well, you don't." Like that's like if you happen to
Right,
have
right.
something in your side that like obviously here looking at
Yeah,
your side, like if you're up against empty jar, you bring in the Jougans and you bring in the Dust
right,
Tornadoes. But that's not
right,
why those
right.
cards are in your side, right? Like mostly your
Exactly.
side is basically just for chaos decks, aggro decks, and like goats
Hmm.
meta decks.
Yeah.
I mean, you have like the walks that are obviously there specifically for burn, but like if you're going to a
Burn and
tournament
stuff.
and you just think there won't be a lot of burn, like you're under no obligation to side these walks. I mean, again, we talked about it. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
pretty intuitive as to why burn would be a bad matchup for a deck that's playing a bunch of Jirai Gumos. But like you could just accept that. You could just be like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just hoping to dodge burn. It is what it is. You know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think every deck just has to accept their weaknesses and not to get not to get too wound up on it. And I don't think any deck's like perfect. I think that's the beauty of GOAT format is that there's always going to be builds that deal with other builds better, but that makes it so that players can play around a lot. And I think that's the thing that was missing from GOAT for a while because even last year when I participated in the Worlds, it was like 70, I would say 75% just CT. And, that's fine, but I just was wanting to see more creativity come into the
Yeah.
format. And now, you're seeing water decks top BU, you're seeing, you know, uh, other cards being introduced into CT, you're seeing machine RGT, which is crazy. So I'm just glad that there's more innovation coming in. And I think the thing that was stifling it too is that when people kind of suggest new cards that are completely unorthodox, there's this backlash immediately of like, oh, that's not going to work, or you're dumb for thinking that. But I don't think we should do that. You know, uh,
Well,
I think we should just,
it's the old argument that if it were true, it would already be apparent that it's true. Like for a very long
hmm
time in
hmm
Edison format, I don't know if you play Edison, but like I said, like
yeah,
Vayu Turbo is like not a real deck. Like I was just like, yeah, this deck
Yeah.
like it's tier 2, it's not very good. And people would always come back with,
Hmm.
okay, well why is it topping every event then? And I'm like, well, because
Hmm.
people are playing it because it topped the last event. Like if everyone, shows up to an event and they're piloting a ham sandwich, then you're going to see 8 ham sandwiches in the top 8 of the event.
Yeah.
But now, like in
Yeah.
the last
Right.
year of like Edison data, we see that like Vayu Turbo like hardly tops at all. And
Hmm. Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe I'm getting like too sidetracked. But yeah, it's
No,
like
no, you're right. I think when you have a whole bunch of CT players, you're going to expect CT to top. I mean, that's just mathematically what's going to happen, especially when you have really good pilots running the deck. So nothing against the players and not really even anything necessarily against the deck itself. It's just more that to think CT is the be all and end all of the format, I just think is not correct.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of different things people can do, and I think there's still a lot of creativity that can be brought into the format to make it, to make it more versatile. Yeah.
Um Someone in chat said like Vayu tops more than anything in Edison. That's just not true. Just go look at the deck list. Um but uh where was I going with this? Yeah, it's interesting because like if you look at like goat format history way back, even
Hmm.
so like goat control was like the most popular deck for a while, and then after that
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
Chris Perovic made like Chaos Recruiter kind of popular, even though he didn't really play it that much.
Hmm.
So for a while, it was like goat control number one, Chaos Recruiter number two, and then like a lot of Chaos Recruiter players started playing like Chaos Turbo or whatever. Thunder Dragon
Yeah.
Chaos, like it was different than it was today. But the point is that deck has had like a ton of representation for like a long time. Like I think it's one of the
Right.
easier decks to pick up, and I think that's fine. Like it's kind of like the deck has like a reasonably high like skill cap, but it's also kind of like low
Hmm.
barrier to entry. So I think that's part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah. Yeah.
reason why people play it. Like Goat Control has like a high skill cap too, but
Hmm.
it's the barrier to entry is higher. Like you have to know a lot more things to play
Yeah.
Goat Control.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think there's more decisive moves you have to know and go control over the other. And yeah, no, I do think that's also a reason. And it's also, I think, just like when if a deck is the popular deck of the format, then when new players come into the format, most people will tell them, "Oh, you have to run this to be successful, right?" And it's like, or they'll just hand them a CT deck because that is the face of the format. But I do think that uh, it's also why I like new players a lot because that's where you see the spice come in. Like, because the new players are trying to learn the format, and so they'll come in with things where it's like, will this work? And a good amount of time you have to say no, this probably wouldn't work, but there's always like that gem that comes along that's like, oh wait, that's actually a good idea, or like that'd be pretty cool to do, and then it makes other people start thinking about it. But I think you with anything in life, I don't think you want to get so stuck in your head uh, that you think you get hard set on a set of ideas of like this is the way things have to be. Um, so yeah, I mean, just from what I've been seeing, like even the past, like even in the FLC ladder and like these past PWCQs and championships, that CT's been pretty underrepresented. I think more than I've ever seen, which is crazy to me.
Yeah,
But
I mean it's
it's
slightly less popular than it was before. I mean
yeah,
ultimately it's like most people are just gonna play like whatever deck they like to play, and
yeah,
that's
exactly,
that's
exactly,
fine.
yeah.
But like if you really are like sort of the hyper competitive player, I think you have to approach like metagaming, kind of the same way that like companies approach R&D, which is like, hey, we're gonna like sort of fund this new venture, and like 90% chance, just all that money is gonna be wasted. But like in the 10%
Hmm.
chance that we've actually found something that does work, then like the payoff
Right.
is huge, right? So it's like, yeah, you test a
Yeah.
new card like Jirai Gumo, and you're like, okay, 90% chance this is a shitty idea, but like in the 10% chance that it's not,
Right.
I win a tournament,
Yeah.
and you haven't lost anything. It's not like it costs. I mean, I guess if it's IRL, it costs money to build a deck, but like realistically, it costs
Yeah.
nothing to test something. Whereas like in the business world,
No,
you have to
that's
actually
true.
spend money. So here it's like the risk reward is just insane. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, and there's also like diminishing marginal returns in the sense that like, okay, I can play my 10,000th match with Chaos Turbo and probably learn nothing, or I can try like a new deck
Hmm.
and learn something. Even if I decide not to play the deck, like at least I'll maybe understand like the matchup better for my main deck. So
Yeah, or you
yeah,
learn actually like different rulings or some niche situation where like, oh, that's the way that works, right? So, um, yeah, and I think good. Obviously, a good creative person in the community is Alfie too. I mean, he
yeah.
brings the spice a lot, which I like. So it just yeah, it's cool to see. It's refreshing to say the least.
All right. Well, yeah, I think we've beaten that horse to death at this point. So
Hmm.
I think I'm ready to call it a day.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but thanks for having me on and letting me discuss it and yeah, it's performed performed better than I thought so far.
Okay.
So,
All right. Take care.
all right, take care, man.
All right. Who are the people in the chat saying that Edison, that Vey is winning a bunch of Edison events? Because I looked at the meta like not that long ago. And it seems like, again, obviously just because something's doing well doesn't mean it's the best deck necessarily. Um, yeah, there's more to it than that. But all the Edison events I looked at, they were dominated by Blackwings, not Vayu. I know those two decks like have some overlap, but and obviously I'm not gonna look at like a 16-person event. No one cares about those. But like let's look at like Peak of the Beak. How many Vayu decks do we have here? Okay, one. One Vayu deck in top 8. Okay, and two Vayu decks in top 16. I mean, Pure Blackwings is certainly the most popular deck and the deck to beat. And I do think Pure Blackwings is strictly better than Vayu. Because Vayu, it's like, oh, I'm just going to play Blackwings without Black Whirlwind, which is like the best card in the deck. It's like, why would you want to do that? But let's look at like another big tournament. Okay, Edison World Championship Qualifier. How many Vayu Turbo decks do we have? Okay, uh, okay, one out of 16. So again, if you like to play Veo Turbo, you can play it. But like I've been testing that deck for years, and Veo Turbo is tier 2. Like it is not like the power level of the deck is much lower than other options available. That's what I mean by tier 2. Right? Just the same way that I'd say like I don't know, like Zombies is tier 2. Like you can play it. It's done well at events. It's not unplayable, but like there are better options available. Let's look at this Edison World Championship qualifier. I mean, eventually, if we look at enough events, well, okay. Vayu Turbo got first, and they only showed one deck. I just don't think the deck has good matchups. Like I've played Edison format a lot. I have an extremely high win rate in Edison. My win rate in Edison is actually higher than my win rate in Goat. But yeah, I think like the Edison meta has only become developed relatively recently. Yeah, and like every good player used to agree that goat control was one of the best decks in goat format too. Like just because every good player agrees on something doesn't make it true. That's basically like half the discussion that I just had with Easy to Slay You. Like in my opinion, like the tier 1 in Edison is two decks. Sort of two archetypes. Frog decks and Blackwing decks. And when I say Blackwing, I mean Blackwings with Black Whirlwind. Those, in my opinion, are very clearly like a level above everything else. And maybe there's like some other sort of like undiscovered deck that could eventually join them, or some sort of deck that's like underplayed because like not enough good players are using it. Like last time on stream, like we talked about how like Glad Beasts have potential. Like someone said, "Oh, I think Glad Beasts have potential in this meta," and I was like, "Yeah, I agree." But like not a lot of good players like really test Glad Beasts. So it's like depending on how the meta develops, I think Glad Beasts could in the future become tier 1, but I don't think they're tier 1 right now. Whereas like Vayu, I think it's probably going to be kind of like eternally tier 2. Sort of like Goat Control is in Goat format, right? Like no matter how the meta develops in Goat format, there probably won't ever be a meta where Goat Control is like hands down the best deck. And Dragon Turbo is like another one that I think, since Ghost Rider mentioned it, I know Ghost Rider plays a lot of Dragon Turbo and Edison. That's another one where I think it's, you could make the case for it being tier 1. You could make the case for it being a top 3 deck. Because in general, it's like what we see with past formats when you're playing any past format is people usually just figure out like what decks have a better high roll than what people were playing in the actual era. So like in 2010, 0 people played Dragon Turbo. But like it obviously has like a ton of power behind it. Just the same way that like, you know, again, kind of the way that like GOAT format has evolved over time is that sort of faster decks have taken up more, you know, real estate in the GOAT format meta, and then slower decks like GOAT Control have kind of receded. And ironically enough, like Vayu Turbo is another example of like a misuse of the word turbo. It is not really a turbo deck, which is fine. Like I'm not saying like that's why it's not good. I mean, that's part of the reason that it's not good. But I think some people maybe assume that that deck like is faster than it actually is because it has the word turbo in it. Maybe that might have nothing to do with it. I don't know. But like Dragon Turbo is an incredibly fast deck that really puts the pressure on your opponent. Any sort of frog deck is basically doing the same thing, right? Hey, I'm summoning Substitute turn 1, good luck, right? You're really sort of putting demands on your opponent very early in the game. Blackwing's largely the same thing, right? Like Blackwings are a bit more of a middle ground where it's like you have the nut draws with Whirlwind where you say, hey, I have a Whirlwind and Assura, good luck. But then sometimes you're just kind of, you know, going +1 with Icarus, or you're just using Bottomless to answer some cards. Obviously, you got Dark Arm Dragon, probably the best card in Edison format. Whereas, like, Vayu Turbo is kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none, where it's not really good at particularly anything. And, yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying you can't win. Like, obviously, in any format, it doesn't matter if we're talking about Goats, Edison, Tengu format, whatever. Most of the time, the better player is just going to win. So, like, if all of the good players just decide to start playing a certain deck, that's what you're going to see win the most. But I think, like, it's very hard, in my opinion, I think it is very hard to make the case that Vayu Turbo does something better than Blackwings. Right? Like, why would I play Vayu Turbo when I can just play Blackwings? I mean, you are right that it is the best DDV deck in the format, but the problem with that is that I don't think DDV is a very good card in the format. Certainly not main deck. Side deck, it's okay, but like Deck Devastation Virus isn't Crush Card, right? Like it's not a card that's worth building around. In most cases, I mean, again, I'm not saying that you can't ever like do something good with it, but thinking in terms of how good it is on average, I don't think Deck Devastation Virus. I think it's one of the more overrated cards in the format, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's bad, but I do think it's overrated. And I actually think Black Wings is a better Royal Oppression deck than Vayu Turbo is. I mean, yes, they're different. They're different decks, but like, explain to me a matchup where you think Vayu Turbo is going to do better than Blackwing. Say like, I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe it's Frogs. Maybe it's Lightsworn. Maybe it's the Blackwing Mirror. Whatever. Like, what edge are you getting by playing Vayu Turbo? Like, because everything in any format, I think in terms of matchups, right? Like, you heard me with Easy to Slay talking a lot about matchups, right? What matchups are you worried about? What matchups are you not worried about? You know, what is the side deck built to handle? What is it not built to handle? So if you're trying to sell me on any deck in any format, you got to tell me what the good matchups are. And, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Vayu Turbo has, like, a lot of terrible matchups. I mean, other than, well, yeah, I don't think it really has any terrible matchups that I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe someone will think of something. But, like, you know, Goat Control doesn't have any terrible matchups either, but people still won't play it. I mean, maybe that's not relevant. But yeah, even if we look at, what if we look at this event? What did well here? Yeah, I mean, here it's like Vayu Turbo got second. You know, we don't have a lot of Black Wings. I mean, again, Vayu Turbo did okay. Like, it got second, and then it got 2 more top 16s. But again, it's like Edison format, in my opinion, you have 2 tier 1 decks, Frogs and Blackwings, and then you have like 20 different tier 2 decks. And Vayu Turbo is in that category, in my opinion. Right? I mean, that's just how the format is. You know, even something like this, like Machinas. I think this is a tier 2 deck. Does it mean you can't play it? Does it mean it's impossible to win a tournament with it? No. But it's tier 2. It doesn't have anything that broken going on. Largely, like, same thing with Vayu. You don't have anything that broken going on, right? Like, here, okay, we have a Deck Devastation Virus. Who cares? I mean, the problem with, like, with this kind of deck, in my opinion, and other decks, right? A lot of the decks that people play in Edison format are just too fair, right? Like, you're being too nice to your opponent by playing a deck like this. You're being too nice to your opponent by playing Machinas. You know, you're being too nice to your opponent by playing, I don't know. I don't have a lot of good examples in this tournament. You know, here it's, okay, these are actually all good. Even like zombies, right? If you're playing zombies in an Edison format tournament, you're just being too nice to your opponent. Again, the deck's fine. Like, you know, Floatstone, who I feel like I know that person. Floatstone got top 16 out of 140 people. Great. That's a good accomplishment. But I'd never sit here and tell you that, like, zombies are tier 1. And that's also how I feel about Vayu. And I know people say, like, oh, but zombies are totally different than Vayu. Yes, I know they're totally different. I'm just saying they're in the same ballpark in terms of, like, their power level, right? Like, in terms of power level, like, Heroes and Blackwings, they're like 10 out of 10s. Vayu's like an 8 out of 10. Zombies are probably like a 7 out of 10. And most of these other decks, I think, are good decks. But again, there was a time, the point that I was making like an hour ago or whatever, was that there was a time when Vayu Turbo was like the entire top 8 of like every single tournament, and people just thought it was tier 0. And people kept playing it because they heard other people saying it was tier 0. And it takes like a long time for that feedback loop to sort of slow down and reverse itself. That was the original point that I was making. It wasn't that Vayu Turbo is unplayable or that you're some sort of stupid person if you play it. That wasn't the point. The point is that, 2 years ago in Edison, Vayu Turbo was vastly overrated, and it takes quite a long time for like the meta to come back to reality, where people realize like, oh wait, there are other options than this deck, and that is kind of similar to, the state of the game with like Chaos Turbo and Goat, right? So if we go to like, I don't know, a recent Go tournament. We got meta somewhere, right? So yeah, like CT is, this blue bar is a little smaller than it used to be. So I know Easy to Slay in the interview, he said, oh, CT was like 75% of the meta at Worlds. If I recall correctly, it was actually 55%. But having gone from like 55% to 36% or so, that's like a pretty big pullback, right? That's like 55 and 35 are two very different numbers. And we have noticed that like at recent events. And actually, what is? Sorry, I have to see what this is. Needle Burrower. Oh, it's a machine. Destroys a monster, inflict damage equal to level times 500. So if you kill a level 4, it's like 2,000. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, Sorry, I distracted myself there for a bit. That's an interesting build. But yeah, it's like, point is like, I don't know, man. It's like some people, this happens with like every past format, it seems, where people like get tunnel visioned on like one deck. It's like, yeah, this is like the one true deck. This is like tier 0. And don't get me wrong, some past formats do have a tier 0. Like, I hate to say this, guys, but in Teledad format, Teledad is tier 0. I'm sorry. I hate to disappoint anyone who is looking forward to playing some diverse games of Teledad format. I don't think Edison is objectively more fun and engaging. I mean, I don't know what engaging means. I assume like maybe by engaging you mean interactive. Edison is a much higher powered format than GOAT format. At the competitive level, right? Again, I'm speaking at the competitive level. I actually think that like playing Edison ladder on Dueling Book is in some ways more fun than playing GOAT format ladder on Dueling Book. But that doesn't mean that like the format is better. That's more of a function of both the sort of demeanor of the players and like the decks that they choose to play. Like Edison format at a competitive level is only like a handful of decks. Like if you play like Edison, like you play Edison on like the ladder, you'll see things like, I don't know, like fairies or machinas or like a Flameville deck or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you can play those. It can be fun, but like that's not really competitive Edison. So like competitive Edison, like I don't think is that fun. It's a very high, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's a very high powered format. Like at a competitive level, Edison format is just, oh, I have my Black Whirlwind. Oh, I have my Substitute. Oh, I have my Royal Oppression. Oh, I have my Dark Arm Dragon. Like I know GOAT format has power cards, but the power cards in Edison format are a lot more impactful than the power cards in GOAT format. Like I know some people will say that I'm full of shit, but like GOAT format is not a case of, oh, I opened Pot of Greed, I won the game. That is like, that's kind of a noob take to say that. Like power cards in GOAT format matter. They have impact. But like comparing, it's hard to compare a card like Pot of Greed to a card like Royal Oppression. Right? Like the power cards in Edison format are a very different flavor than the power cards in GOAT format. The power cards in GOAT format are like, oh, I get a +1, whereas the power cards in Edison format can kind of like give you almost like a snowball effect. Like people will tell me that I'm wrong, but Substitoad is a better card in Edison format than Pot of Greed is in Goat format in terms of like the actual impact that it has on your ability to win the game. Oh yeah, Future Fusion 2 obviously. And by the way, that is why I play Frogs in Edison format, because I feel like my opinion is that the best card in Edison format, number 1, Dark Arm Dragon, number 2, Substitoad, and then like number 3, Black Whirlwind, number 4, Brain Control, number 5, Royal Oppression. Probably. There might be something that I'm missing there. Future Fusion you could throw in there too. Like, I guess Future Fusion probably deserves to be in there. But those are like, a lot of those cards are cards that snowball. And that's very different than the way that like Goat format is. There are certain cards in Goat format that can snowball, but it's very rare. Like Tsukiyomi can snowball, where it's like, hey, I went Pot of Greed, I set a Magician of Faith, I flipped Faith and got back the Pot of Greed. I activate Pot of Greed, I Tsukiyomi the Faith to reset it, and now the cards that I drew off my 2 Pot of Greeds can be used to protect my setup. That can happen, but that's like a 3-card combo that can sort of snowball card advantage. Whereas in Edison, it's like 1-card combos. And like Edison is, I know people use these words differently than I do. Edison is closer to a modern Yu-Gi-Oh format than it is to Goat format, which is fine. And in a way, I think that's probably why in certain communities, Edison has more appeal. Because if you take someone who plays modern Yu-Gi-Oh and says, hey, I have this format for you to play, they probably don't want to play something that's like the opposite of what they're playing now. And again, I know people, oh, it's totally different. Like, modern Yu-Gi-Oh has, 1-card FTKs and whatever. Like, to me, like, here's how I like break down the eras of Yu-Gi-Oh. So 2002, or whenever Yu-Gi-Oh started, 2002 to 2006, that is what I call classic Yu-Gi-Oh. 2011 and onward is what I consider to be modern Yu-Gi-Oh. And then 2007 to 2010, those are what I call the transition years, where depending on the exact era that we're talking about, it resembles classic or modern a little more. And like a lot of times, you kind of had like a mix of both. So like summer of 2010 with like Shining Darkness, very much modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Or Teledad format, very much modern Yu-Gi-Oh. In terms of like the strategy that's involved. Whereas, Edison format, it's like, it's more in the middle ground. And certainly, like, if you, like, went back in time to actual YCS Edison 2010, it resembled classic Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot more. People were playing things like Rescue Cat. They were playing things like Hamster Raiko. Kind of this sort of jockeying for card advantage style of play. And that is the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Play style. Grinding out +1s. But modern Edison is not about grinding +1s. It is about sort of, getting the ball rolling early. And that is more like modern Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, like hyper modern Yu-Gi-Oh, like 2025, is the extreme version of that. Where you're just like, oh, I play this card. Oh, I have a hand trap. Oh, I play this other card. Oh, I have a hand trap. Well, I have my hand trap to counter your hand trap. Right? That is like, sort of the most extreme version of modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where everything relevant is like happening on turn 1, usually. But yeah, Edison format is more about synergies, is more about power cards, is more about getting the ball rolling early, and that element of the game is a lot more like modern Yu-Gi-Oh. It doesn't mean that like you'll never have the sort of grindier games where, oh, I Raiko your thing, I Caius your thing, I go Heavy Storm because it's a +1, whatever. But again, at the competitive level, it is more like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Than it is like Goat but which is fine. You're allowed to like it. I like it a lot. But But yeah, like the people who say like, oh, Edison is like objectively better than Goat, it's like it's like saying that like Coke is better than Pepsi or whatever. It's like, well, no, that's a bad example. It's like saying that like vanilla ice cream's better than chocolate. It's like they're two different things, right? It's like I like vanilla ice cream better than chocolate, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell someone that likes chocolate ice cream better that, well, I mean, it's just I've done the math and vanilla is objectively better. I mean, it's kind of silly. So yeah, I think like play whatever format you want. I mean, there are other formats that people like to play too, like I don't know, Tengu or whatever. That format's good too. Like, no one really plays Teledad format, and I think there's a good reason for that. Teledad format is legitimately very boring in my opinion, but you can still play it. I mean, I also think Critter format is very boring. Like, like you know, watching paint dry kind of boring. But you can still play it. I don't think Edison's boring though, and I don't think Goat's boring. Like I think some people will say that Goat format's boring, but like I think those are maybe people who have a very like narrow view of what Goat format actually is. Like if you think Goat format is just all Chaos Turbo mirrors, then I could understand why you would say that it's boring. But like that's not the format though. So yeah, I don't think the argument is that great. But yeah, my wife is home now. So unless any of you have any follow up or questions or whatever, I think I'm just gonna call it a day. I will the Easy to Slay You interview, I'm probably gonna cut that out and make it a separate video. So if you just got here and you missed that interview that I did with him, then again, look out over the next couple of days. I'll just sort of cut that out from the stream and make it its own thing. I think it was a good perspective to get with him. Because again, I think obviously some people think differently than I do, but I think me and Easy to Slay You were cut from the same cloth, so to speak. I think we have very similar ways of thinking about Go format. And, I don't think I would take this deck to a tournament myself, but, like, I definitely think it's a good deck. I think this deck is probably better than, like, Earth Aggro, right? Like, if we're just listing, like, aggro decks from, like, best to worst, I would say this deck is probably higher up on the totem pole than Earth Aggro is. But I also just am very low on Earth Aggro. I think that deck was, like... It's weird because there was like a point in time where Earth Aggro was the third most popular deck in GOAT format, and I don't know how that happened. I don't think the deck is that good. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's like no matter what Konami does, like just keep playing the format. It's like when you have no expectations, you can never be disappointed. And that's certainly where I am with Konami. I never expect them to do something to my benefit, and therefore I'm never disappointed. And yeah, I mean, at some point, I know, like, I don't know. At the end of the day, guys, it's just like play the format you like, have fun while you're doing it, bring your friends along. That's kind of there's no need to like over dramatic no need to make this like overly dramatic. Doesn't matter what Konami does. Doesn't matter if some guy in the peanut gallery says, oh, your format sucks, my format's better. It doesn't matter. Just play whatever format you like and have fun.